She sat by the window every night, watching the rain trace slow patterns on the glass, each drop whispering the same ache she carried inside her heart. Years had passed, yet her home remained silent, no little footsteps, no laughter echoing through the walls, only the quiet hum of loneliness. She had dreamed of holding a child in her arms, of whispering lullabies in the dark, but destiny had stayed cruelly silent. Every prayer she uttered seemed to vanish into the cold sky. People told her to move on, to accept life as it was, but how could she? How could a heart that was made to nurture simply stop longing? Each time she saw a mother holding her child's hand on the street, a small ache would bloom inside her chest, gentle, but unbearable. One morning, while walking past a small orphanage on the edge of town, she heard a faint sound, a child's laughter carried by the wind. It was soft, like sunlight after a storm. Something within her stopped. She turned, drawn by a force she couldn't explain. The gate was old, the paint peeling, but behind it were tiny faces, some smiling, some blank with sorrow. And among them stood one little girl, barefoot, clutching an old doll, her eyes empty yet familiar, as if they had known pain far too early. For a moment, the world around her blurred. She felt a pull, deep, powerful, unexplainable. That fragile little face, those trembling hands, stirred something sacred inside her. The woman stepped closer, and when the child looked up, their eyes met, and time seemed to pause. It was as if two souls, broken in different ways, had finally recognized each other. The orphanage worker told her the child had no known family. She didn't speak much. She had been found wandering near the woods, alone, scared, with no memory of what had happened before. Hearing that, tears welled in the woman's eyes. How could a child so young already carry such silence in her heart? That night, the woman couldn't sleep. The little girl's face haunted her, those eyes filled with untold stories, that quiet plea for warmth. She got out of bed, sat by the window again, and whispered to herself, "Maybe she's the reason I've been waiting all these years." The next morning, she returned to the orphanage. Papers were signed, signatures exchanged, and as the little girl's small hand slipped into hers for the first time, the woman felt her heart come alive. It was trembling, unsure, but full of hope, the kind of hope that only comes once in a lifetime. Driving home, the woman glanced at the rearview mirror. The girl sat quietly in the back seat, eyes wide, holding her doll close. A single tear rolled down the woman's cheek, not from sadness, but from the fragile beauty of a dream finally beginning to breathe. She had no idea that the child she just called her own carried a secret that would soon shatter everything she believed about love, safety, and fate itself. Days passed softly, like sunlight slipping through lace curtains. The house that once felt empty now echoed with the sound of tiny footsteps, the faint rustle of toys, and the quiet hum of lullabies that finally had a listener. The woman would watch her little one draw pictures on the floor, humming to herself, lost in a world only she could see. But there was something strange, something she couldn't quite name. The child rarely spoke, and when she did, her voice trembled as if afraid of being heard. At night, she sometimes woke up screaming, her small hands clutching her chest, whispering words the woman couldn't understand, names, places, and one word she repeated again and again, "He'll find me." The woman tried to comfort her, wrapping her arms around the trembling body, whispering that she was safe now, that no one would ever hurt her again. But deep down, she knew, this wasn't just fear. It was memory. One evening, as rain drummed gently against the roof, the woman decided to give the child a warm bath before bed. The water steamed softly, and the girl sat quietly, her little shoulders hunched forward. The woman hummed as she poured water over her hair, trying to make her feel safe. But when she gently reached to wash her back, the girl flinched, violently. The woman froze. "It's okay, sweetheart," she whispered. But the child shook her head, tears pooling in her eyes. Slowly, with trembling hands, the woman moved the wet hair aside, and her heart stopped. Across the child's back were long, jagged scars, deep, uneven, and old. But that wasn't what made her shiver. Burned into the skin, faint but clear, were strange symbols, circles, lines, and letters carved in patterns that looked deliberate, ritualistic. The woman dropped the sponge. Her breath caught in her throat as she touched one of the marks gently. The child gasped and turned, tears streaming down her face. "Please," she cried in a shaking voice, "don't let him take me back. Please don't let him find me again." The woman's heart cracked. "Who, sweetheart? Who are you talking about?" But the child only shook her head, sobbing uncontrollably, whispering, "He said he'll come back for me, he said I belong to him." The room fell silent except for the sound of rain. The woman wrapped a towel around her and held her close, whispering over and over, "No one will take you. Not while I'm here." But as she rocked her to sleep that night, her own hands were trembling. Those symbols, those words, they weren't ordinary. They looked familiar, like something she had seen long ago in an old newspaper headline about a mysterious cult that had vanished after a series of child kidnappings. And for the first time since bringing her home, the woman felt something she hadn't felt in years: fear. The night stretched endlessly. Every shadow seemed alive, whispering secrets the walls could barely hold. The woman couldn't sleep. Those strange marks on the child's back haunted her mind. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw the fear in that little face, the way her body had shivered, not from cold, but from memory. By morning, she decided to search for answers. While the child played quietly in the living room, the woman pulled out the adoption papers. Her heart sank as she noticed something she hadn't before. The orphanage's seal was smudged, the signature at the bottom uneven, almost forged. A chill ran through her. She picked up her phone and called the orphanage, but the number was disconnected. Panic began to bloom in her chest. She drove back to the old orphanage building at the edge of town. The gate creaked open, but the place was deserted, windows broken, rooms covered in dust. It looked as if no one had lived there for years. Her breath quickened. "How could this be?" she whispered. Inside the main office, she found a drawer half open, filled with moldy files. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through them until she found a folder with the child's photo, younger, thinner, with the same haunting eyes. But when she turned the page, her blood ran cold. Attached to the file was a newspaper clipping dated 2 years ago. "Police raid illegal cult. Children found in abandoned house. Leader escapes." Below the headline was a grainy picture of a man with hollow eyes and a cruel smile. The caption read, "Cult leader known only as Father Eli, still at large." Her heart pounded. She scanned the article, and there it was. The same symbol she'd seen on the child's back was printed beside the cult's name, the Children of the Black Sun. The room began to spin. That meant, the little girl wasn't just an orphan. She was a survivor. A child who had escaped something unspeakable. And now, the monster who had marked her as his chosen might still be looking for her. The woman rushed home, her hands shaking on the steering wheel. When she arrived, the house was silent, too silent. Her chest tightened. "Sweetheart," she called softly. No reply. Panic surged as she ran from room to room until she found the girl sitting under the table, clutching her doll, whispering the same words again and again. "He's coming. He's coming for me." The woman fell to her knees and held her tight. "No, he's not. You're safe here." But before she could say more, a soft knock echoed from the front door, slow, deliberate, like someone testing the air. Every instinct screamed danger. She pulled the child behind her and peeked through the curtain. Outside stood a man dressed in black, holding an envelope. His smile was calm, too calm. He slid the envelope under the door and walked away. The woman hesitated, then picked it up. Inside was a single photograph, taken from outside her window. She and the child were visible, sitting by the fire the previous night. On the back, written in dark ink, were 5 chilling words. She belongs to me still. Her knees went weak. Tears blurred her vision. She looked at the child, who was now shaking uncontrollably. The woman knew she couldn't stay another night. She packed a small bag, grabbed her car keys, and carried the girl in her arms. As they drove away into the night, headlights slicing through the darkness, the woman glanced in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that man behind them. But the road was empty. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling that somewhere, unseen, he was watching. Hours later, they reached a small church on the outskirts of another town. The priest listened in silence as she told him everything. When she showed him the symbols, he grew pale. "You did the right thing," he whispered. "But they never stop looking for what they call theirs. You must protect her, not just with fear, but with faith." The woman looked at the sleeping child in her arms, fragile, scarred, yet innocent. She brushed a strand of hair from her face and whispered, "You're safe now, my little one. I don't care what he believes, you belong to love, not to darkness." Outside, dawn broke through the clouds. Golden light fell on the child's face, washing away the night's shadows. For the first time, she smiled in her sleep, a small, trembling smile that carried both pain and hope. The woman looked at her and knew, no cult, no darkness, no past could ever take her away again. She had found her daughter not by blood, but by courage, and she would spend the rest of her life proving that love is stronger than fear.